You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey there, General Hospital fans. I have an update for you on the much anticipated and also simultaneously dreaded Bobbie Spencer final storyline, and a question also about the fate of Drew Cain given key events that just happened, his messy history, and Cameron Mathison's huge career move that could see his status change at the ABC soap opera. Let's dig into these big things coming soon, but first, please click subscribe if you haven't. All right. Let's start with Bobbie Spencer. I usually save the most anticipated for last, but it's the holiday season, so I'm going to go in order of most to less interesting instead of the other way. As I said in our early weekly spoilers edition that came out a few days ago, Bobbie Spencer's final storyline is upon us. We are finally getting closure on the legacy character, and, also as fans of Jackie Zeman, we're getting closure because everybody wants her to have a meaningful tribute on the ABC Sudzer. So Tracy Quartermaine has been in Amsterdam with her sister-in-law sorting out Luke Spencer's affairs in the wake of his murder, orchestrated by awful Victor Cassadine. But it seems Tracy planned to be back to Port Charles for the holidays, and I'm sure she wants to hug Ned Quartermaine and tell him she's glad he's no longer Eddie Main. But then, before that happens, on the Friday, December 8th episode, Tracy is on the jet heading home when she gets news that devastates her. And I have no doubt it'll be that Bobbie Spencer died after she left. I'm guessing that they're going to do some sort of natural cause of death out of respect for actress Jacqueline Zeman and her family. I'm guessing here, but something like maybe she died in her sleep, a brain aneurysm, a stroke, something where she died instantly without pain, peacefully, something like that. I do not expect, and I would be very angry if it was something violent like Luke's death in that cable car crash in the mountains. I think it's going to be peaceful, like a best case scenario kind of thing, just to be respectful to Jackie Zeman's family. That's what I expect. That's what I'm hoping for. I don't think GH is going to let us down. I think they're going to do it right. We've waited so long, and I think they're going to do it upright. Tracy will, of course, be devastated to get this news. I mean, after all, she was just with Bobbie. She might even blame herself for not being there when Bobbie Spencer passed. So in a scene from Friday's episode, Tracy gets a message on her phone. She gasps, she covers her mouth, she clenches her eyes shut, she fights tears while in shock. So likely someone they were dealing with in Amsterdam notified her of her passing. And then the spoilers for Friday, December 8th further say that Tracy remembers the past. So I wonder if after she gets this message about Bobbie's sudden death that she's thinking back on Luke and his sister and their history, or is thinking about it and then she gets the message, but something like that. That would be very nice. I am generally not one who's a fan of flashbacks, but in this case, for me, they could fill the whole hour with them. I would watch every moment while emptying out a tissue box with my tears. I would do that. Those are flashbacks I can be on board with. So the next spoiler for Tracy is then on Tuesday the 12th, when it says she's happy to be reunited with her son Ned. So, of course, the ABC soap opera is not giving us a bunch of official spoilers about what's happening, because they want this reveal to be a surprise, to be out of the blue. But suffice it to say, Bobbie's death arc is confirmed to begin on Friday the 8th, and look for lots more sadness next week as word spreads. So I suspect that they are going to have her memorial done pretty soon. I imagine they're going to do it before Christmas, because there's plenty of time before them, and that way they can think of her and mention her at the holidays, but the actual memorial service won't overshadow the Christmas holidays. So we'll see. I also really hope that we're going to get a whole entire episode that is devoted to Jackie Zeman's decades on the soap and her character, Bobbie Spencer. Having her funeral with a lot of look-back scenes would be amazing. So I will let you know more when I have more on this. So now on to my other tidbit of news. You might have heard that Cameron Mathison inked a huge deal with Great American Media that encompasses multiple years worth of work across many types of content, including TV movies. The people that own Great American Media It's like owned by a private investor, but they hired away the guy who used to run the Hallmark movie channel, if I understand correctly. So that kind of deal that he's always been involved with. But this is a big deal. It's a volume of work. And it seems like a lot to take on while you're also starring on a soap opera and are in front burner storylines. So at the time that Cameron signed the deal, a few days before Thanksgiving, I didn't think too much about it. Like I saw it and I saw people kind of panicking. And then I was like, well, but he started in August 2021 as Drew Cain. And most of the time, GH arranges exits around anniversary dates where they decide, okay, we're not going to renew this contract. And then they write somebody out like they just did with Roger Howarth. So, but they don't always do that. For instance, Rebecca Budig, who played Hayden Barnes, was basically unceremoniously axed right in the middle of her contract. I think they signed like a 3-year deal with her and they just, bam, they can still fire you whether you have a contract or not. So basically the contract gives you a certain number of episodes and things like that versus recurring where you're just on an as needed basis, but they can still fire you. So even given all that and knowing that in the back of my head, I really wasn't thinking about Drew leaving. I mean, he just got out of Pentonville. He's hot and heavy with Carly. He's back in Scout's life. He's scheming against Ned at ELQ. But then I really started thinking about, okay, but every one of those things I just said might mean that he actually could leave rather than stay. So I'm going to break it down real quick. First, that deal he made with Great American is huge. It's going to require a big time commitment. Second, we don't even know how long of a contract Cameron Mathison signed at General Hospital. He was actually very careful to never confirm how long his planned run would be. Some actors will say, I signed a 2-year deal, 3-year deal. He never said. He was very careful. He never answered questions on that. So if he inked a 2-year deal, which is kind of standard these days, even for a big juicy hire, that would have ended in August of 2023. But maybe they asked him to stay on for a couple of months to wrap his character's storyline. I mean, they didn't want to leave him in prison for that long, although, they did it to Sean Butler and we didn't see him for years. But instead, Drew came home and immediately started rubbing several people the wrong way, except Carly, who he apparently was rubbing the right way. So Ned would love to see Drew gone since he's back to plotting with Michael against him. And Sam McCall is less than thrilled that Drew is basically pressuring Scout into attending a fancy private school. Also, there's the fact that Drew just hopped on a plane out of the country with little warning. Remember the last time that he did that? It was back when Billy Miller played the role. I loved him as Drew. I miss that sweet man. I hope he's at peace now. And there's some more details that came out this week. I'm not going to talk about it because it's awful, but it makes my heart hurt. So back in 2019, Drew left Port Charles to fly to Afghanistan to return money that awful cult leader Shiloh Archer stole. So Peter August and Victor Cassadine took the opportunity of him being on that plane to fake a plane crash, fake his death, and then they brainwashed him into being their pet assassin. That was 2019, and then 2 years later, they reintroduced the character with Cameron Mathison in the role. And now we're 2 years more into that, and Drew is getting back on a plane, already got back on a plane, to go somewhere far away, this time to Australia for a business deal. Is he safe? Well, Victor and Peter are both dead, but who's not? Mr. Brennan, who's running both the WSB and Pikemen. He's alive, well, and preparing to wreak havoc in Port Charles, and Carly is on Brennan's radar. So the question is, has the ABC soap sidelined Drew to make room for Carly's next romantic mistake? Brennan sees her as the perfect leverage to get Sonny Corinthos under control, and Drew has gone missing before. Plus, Brennan's got enough power and connections to make Drew disappear, just like Victor and Peter did before. And it would be following General Hospital history since Victor also used to run the WSB and was a real creep. Taking Drew off the board would free up Carly to get involved with Brennan, and he would be just one in a string of, she was involved with Franco, with Alcazar, of course, Sunny, AJ was, not a nice guy. She kind of has a history of generally dating trouble. So it would free Carly up to make a mistake with him, and it would free up Cameron Mathison to do all of his many, many new projects over at Great American Media. So I want to be clear. I am not saying that it will happen this way. What I am saying is that it's strange that Cameron Mathison inked this new deal, and then he's on a plane going somewhere far away, and there's this new dangerous troublemaker in town. And GH has been known to abruptly exit people with no goodbye. I mean, there's almost too many to count. Rick Lansing, Austin Gatlin Holt, Sean Butler, Dylan Quartermaine, those spring to mind. I know there's others. I just can't come up with them off the top of my head. So if Drew returns to Port Charles from Australia, he's going to be a problem for Brennan's agenda. This week, he asked Carly out, but she told him she's seeing someone. But if Brennan gets that someone out of the way, it might make his job easier. I really like Charles Mesure, who's playing Brennan. He's a recognizable, if not a huge actor, so maybe he's going to stick around. We'll see. All right, thanks for listening. Please click subscribe if you haven't, and definitely drop your comments on what you think about this Bobbie Spencer storyline and whether you think Drew is going to be exited off GH again. Let me know your thoughts, and come back soon because we are here talking General Hospital 7 days a week. And as always, this has been Belinda from Soap Dirt. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.